Okay, so it is Tuesday, December 6th, I believe. We are here to do a replacement of our water heater.
Heats water.
Heats water. It heats water. The water heater does heat water. The whole thing fills up with water. In this case, it's a 55 gallon. It fills up with water through that inlet right there. And then the heating elements heat the water and it goes right back, and that's how we get hot water in the house. So today we're going to tackle this job. We're going to give it an hour, 2 hour tops, because it's our first time doing it, but we like to do things right. So here we go, tackling hot water heater job.
We're going to do it.
Take one.
Yes.
All right. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is cut the power to the water heater because there's a lot of electricity running to that, and obviously you don't want to get shocked. So I've already kind of done that, gone to my circuit breaker and flipped the switch, which in our case is number 2. Just flip that off. So now the breaker is off. There's no power, no electricity going to it. What do we do next, son?
So when you flip the switch off, electricity builds up in here, which is like the heaters and stuff. So this is basically what heats up the water. If we didn't flip this off, took that off, you'd be like, oh, and get yourself shocked. So that's why we flipped that off. And after that, we're going to use this hose, which is going to drain the water outside, which we just disconnected from the hose valve and connected it to here, so then it'll just drain outside of the water, because this is full of water. And if we just try to move it, we're going to have water spill everywhere. And we're going to have to disconnect the tubes, because this tube brings in the cold water, it heats it up, electricity goes, heats that up, then it goes through there, the hot water, like I just said, goes through there. So yes, we don't want any water. That's what we're going to do.
All right, so G Mike right now is going ahead, he's opening up the valve.
So close, just
You might hear it draining already. Simple as that. If I went outside, you'd see the water coming out the hose, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're almost finished draining. We're about to go ahead and take care of the electrical, which is right here. You will notice a nice big caution sign. Improper installation and use may result in property damage. we're gonna avoid that as much as we can. Actually, we're gonna avoid it completely. So we're gonna do things right. Anyway, so I'm about to go ahead and unscrew that, undo the wiring before we go to the next step, which would be, of course, to cut these lines, because essentially this is CPVC. It's glued on, right? So you can't unscrew it. So we're going to be cutting that so that we can bring the other one in.
Alright, just going to take this off. What was that?
Remove cover for inspection. Well. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Man, there's some thick wire up in there. Thick wire usually means lots of current. There we have it. So that's the wiring. Just gonna go ahead and undo that. And then there's the you've got the ground wire right there, so you have to undo that as well, and that's all going to be part of the inlet side. So I'll go ahead and unscrew that. I want to back up a little bit, son.
What?
Right. Even though I did put the power off, I do kind of feel a little bit more comfortable wearing some gloves. Now you may check it out and write something like, ha! Those gloves ain't gonna protect you. 220 volt, but it makes me feel better anyway. Okay, we are replacing an A.O. Smith Pro Max. And these are the specs on it, if you wanted to pause the video for reference. And we're going to go ahead and replace it with another A.O. Smith.
Yay.
You know, there's real on the market, a ream, I should say. A.O. Smith seemed to be to the top, but we're going to go with this. The major difference is this is a 50 gallon versus a 55 gallon, 6-year limited warranty. But it should be a fit for fit. This says 16.5 inches. This one measures actually at the existing one at 60 inches, so we'll see. That may work to our advantage with the tubing, and I'll tell you about that when we get to that part. All right, we're going to go ahead and I already cut this. We're going to open up the new system and see what it looks like. Oh! Okay.
Oh!
Well, you better have a big water storage capacity. I have to return that.
Oh!
All right, so here's the unit, new unit unboxed. Excuse me. Pretty similar to, of course, what we're replacing over there in terms of what's on top and what's on the bottom. I really dislike the fact that they are making their way to plastic. At the end of the day, one knock on this versus a knock on a brass metal fitting is that's gonna crack that. So that kind of frustrates me, to be honest with you. I mean, I know cost savings, but goodness gracious, lots of pressure valve, so that has to be made out of metal.
Here it is.
All right, so I cut this one already. Doing the same thing now with the input. Thank God that stopped. I had some problems here with the plastic valve. It really wouldn't seat closed at all, so I had to booger up with that a few times. Finally, it seated. Thank God for that. So, looks like we're good to go. Electricity's off. Both hardware pipes are off. This, of course, is freestanding, so we are ready to roll this beast on out of here. Judging by the weight, I'm thinking this thing still has some water in it. And I'm thinking maybe it's glued to the ground with some rust. But prevail through. Oh yeah, this thing still got some water in it. All right, let's see if we can drain it a little bit more then. All right, so kind of coming back here, remove the old tank, put the new tank in place. It's basically, again, the same thing. What I have to do here, of course, is put the fittings back in. Now, I've been having a problem with the inlet because this stupid, cheap plastic valve doesn't really quite seat it close the flow as well as it should. Anyway, but thankfully this was cut at exactly the right height it needed to be. I made the mistake of actually cementing this in here, or starting that first, before I realized, oh, well, I have to put it on the tank first. So I just put the Teflon on here, screwed that on. I'll tighten it a little bit, hand snug, and then I'll go ahead and install this and do the same thing, of course, for the outlet. As you can see, none of the electrical work has been done.
Okay, so we have finished basically everything else. It's
You did
not
a great job, Gabe.
Yeah, I did it myself because it was
You
hard
did
work.
great.
I just kicked my dad out. I was like, you know what?
Sure
I'm
did.
doing it. So,
There
finished
it
it all
is.
by myself. Look, I even built this thing.
It looks beautiful.
I know, I had to ship it back because, of course, there was this weird guy who looked like me in it, so...
So now, yeah, now you got your drain pipe there. I see you did that. What else did you do?
Well, I re-screwed these back on-ish, kind of like glue it and tape it. Well, not tape
You
it,
taped
but-
it?
Yes, see, that's tape right there. It's definitely
Oh, the pipe tape, the
Yeah.
Teflon tape, yeah.
tape, that thing. And, glued it, Gorilla glued it.
Gorilla.
That's what we did.
That's awesome.
We sold that thing. We're
Yeah,
like,
we saw that, didn't we? We sure did.
so then we just put that back on. Put this stuff back on.
Let's put more stuff.
And
Okay.
more stuff wires.
Awesome.
And then we have a little stuffy tube thing.
Man, what's that noise I'm hearing?
That's the tank filling up.
Filling up with what?
Water.
Oh,
So filling up with water.
okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
Got a little towel, little gloves, little rubber thing right
So
there.
you did a pretty good job here. So
Definitely.
it looks like you're filling the tank up now because it's all installed. Looks like you did the piping here, right?
Right.
You put the cement on the CPVC, you put the Teflon tape, that's awesome. Open up the valve, you can see electrical is still not done, right? Now
Right.
why isn't that done?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Probably because you want to fill the water tank first.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't fill the water tank and you accidentally charge this up and these elements light up dry, then they get damaged. It's a French word, the English word is damaged.
Damaged. Ronaldo damaged.